Assalamualaikum and good day. My name is Muhammad Razim bin Muhammad Rizwan, and today I will present my final year project. My research is titled Study on Energy Efficiency in Train Braking System, and it was conducted under the supervision of Mr. T.S. Salman Farisi. Today, I will be talking a true critical analysis of how modern railways manage energy, specifically the massive amount of power we currently waste when trains slow down and the technologies we can use to recapture it. To understand why I chose this topic, we must first look at where the energy is railway actually goes. My research analyzed that the consumption breakdown of typical railway networks as can see on the chart. Railway energy use is not evenly distributed. Traction energy, the electrical specifically used to propel the trains accounts for staggering 60% to 80% of the total consumption. The remaining 30% covers station, depot, and lighting. While changing light bulbs in station is helpful, it is negligible compared to the energy used by the train themselves. Therefore, if we are serious about meeting climate climate change goals and reducing operational costs, traction energy is the primary target. We cannot decarbonize the sector without addressing the massive size of pie. First, we we have inefficient energy dissipation in traditional braking system like rheostatic braking. The train's kinetic energy is converted into heat and dissipated through resistor banks. It is literally burned off into the atmosphere as a waste. Second, they represent a missed conservation opportunity. Modeling studies cited in my report indicate that theoretically, up to 83% of the energy used to accelerate a train could be recovered during braking. Currently, most of this potential is lost. Third, this waste cause great stress. When we don't manage this energy, it creates voltage spikes and forces the grid to supply peak power during every acceleration, inflating operational costs. My project aims to solve this by turning the waste into resources. To tackle this problem, I structured my inquiry around four specific objectives. First, evaluate mechanism. I needed to understand the physics of how regenerative braking works and where the energy flows. Two, compare storage systems. There are many batteries on the market. My goal was to compare the technologies like flywheels, supercapacitors, and lithium-ion batteries to see which is the best for rail. The third is examine strategies. Hardware is expensive, so I also wanted to evaluate operational measures, like how to drive the train to see if we can save energy without buying much equipment. The fourth is identify barriers. Finally, if the technology exists, why isn't it everywhere? I aim to identify the economic and regulatory roadblocks. Let's move to the literature review. To understand braking, we must first understand resistance. On the left, you, you see the Davis equation, R equal to A plus BV plus CV a power of 2. This equation is critical because of the third term, CV a power of 2. This represents aerodynamic drag because it increases quadratically with velocity. At high speeds, wind resistance becomes a dominant force. This validates why aerodynamic trains design is the first step in efficiency. On the right, on the right is the core concept of my study, regenerative braking. In a standard operation, electricity drives the motor, but electric motors are reversible. When the train brakes, the motor acts as generator. Instead of using friction pads, the momentum of the train spins the motor to generate electricity. We slow the trains down. The question is, once we generate this electricity, where do we put it? My, my research identifies 3 distinct pathways for this regenerative braking system, RBA. Path 1 is direct reuse. This is the blue line on the diagram. The energy leaves the braking train and goes directly into nearby train that is accelerating. This is the gold standard because it has the lowest losses. I'm sorry. Path 2 is grid feedback. If no train is nearby, you can use a reversible substation to send the power back to the public utility grid. Path 3 is energy storage, ESS. It is where my study focused heavily. If the grid can't take the power we store it, on board ESS, we put batteries on the train itself. And the other is trackside ESS. We put large battery banks at the station or substation. Each has the pros and cons, which I analyze in my findings. Briefly, regarding my methodology, this project utilized a qualitative documentary analysis. I did not conduct physical experiment as testing train braking system requires access to the rolling stock that is not feasible for an FYP. Instead, I synthesized from high-level sources, specifically technical report from the UIC, International Union of Railway. The second is the Rail Energy Project, a major European research initiative. And let's say is academic journal regarding battery chemistry. I use thematic analysis to identify pattern in operations and comparative analysis to evaluate the technical specifications of storage system. This brings me to the most critical technical finding of my report: the power versus energy density trade-off. There is no single perfect battery. As this chart shows, we have two extremes. The top left, supercapacitor, EDLC. These have massive power density. They can absorb huge surf of energy from a braking train in seconds. However, they can't hold much total energy. They are perfect for metro system. We stop every 2 minutes. Bottom right, lithium ion, NMC. These have high energy density. They can hold charge for a long time, but they charge and discharge relatively slowly. They are better for longer regional lines. For my insight, my analysis suggests that hybrid systems combining a supercapacitor for the spring and battery for the marathon are the future solution to bridge this gap. Technology is expensive. My research found that we can achieve massive saving just by changing how we operate the trains. The first is eco-driving. By training drivers to coast before braking and avoid aggressive acceleration, we can save 5% to 15% of energy immediately. This is a low-hanging fruit. The second is timetable synchronization. Remember, path one, direct reuse. We can we can force this happen by adjusting timetable so that a train A arrives at the station. Train B is departing. This allows energy transfer without any storage hardware. The third is automation, DAS or ATO. Because human drivers are inconsistent, we need driver advisory system, DAS, or full automatic train operation, ATO, to execute these efficient profiles perfectly every single time. If these are so effective, why aren't they implemented everywhere? I identified three distinct barriers. The first, technical barriers. Integrating a modern lithium-ion battery or ATO system with 30-year-old legacy trains and tracks is incredibly complex and risky. The second is economic barriers. The CAPX, capital expenditure, is high. A trackside storage system costs millions. Operators need a long-term return on investment to justify this upfront costs. The third is regulatory barriers. I found that frameworks like European TSI, technical specification for inter interoperability, can be slow to approve innovative solutions. This creates uncertainty for operators who don't want to invest in tech. This might that might not be certified. Based on this analysis, I have reached a clear conclusion. Maximum efficiency cannot be achieved by a single technology. There is no silver bullet. Instead, a system approach is required. We need to integrate hardware like reversible substation and hybrid energy storage, software like ATO and time synchronization algorithms, and operations like eco-driving protocols. Only by combining these three layers can we bridge the gap between 10% savings we see today and 83% theoretically potential. Finally, I propose a phased roadmap for operators. For the immediate term, eco-driving training, it costs very little but delivers up to 15% savings. And the second is medium term, take to 1 to 3 years. Uh, it retrofit rolling stock with silicon carbide, SiC converters. Sorry, these are new semiconductors that drastically reduce conversion losses. And for the long term, take more than 5 years um, to make strategic investments in large scale storage, both on board and trackside, to decarbonize non-electrified lines and stabilize the grid. This study confirms that energy efficiency is not just environmental choice, but an economic necessity for the future of rail. By moving from component level thinking to system level integration, we can unlock massive potential. Thank you for your Thank you for your time and attention. I am now happy to answer any question you may have regarding my findings and methodology. Thank you. Dah.